Hey story readers, it's Warren and welcome back to my channel. This is my second video I filmed today. You guys have gotten 2 videos in one day from me. I just filmed my favorite reads of 2017, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my least favorite books of 2017. This is the list of books that I absolutely hated this year. I don't have as many of these, thankfully, so there's not 10 on this list, there's actually 6. These books are not specifically books that came out this year or that were published in 2017, they're just books that I read this year in 2017. And this is just a disclaimer, I did not like these books, but that doesn't mean that you can't like these books. I'm not saying that you're wrong if you enjoy them, I'm just saying I don't like them and these are my reasons why. So without further ado, let's roast these books. Book number 6 on this list is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And since this is the first one of the series, I'll explain a little bit about it. It follows a girl named Feyre, and it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling about Feyre, who is taken by this high fae lord into the fairy land, the fairy realm of Prythian, which has 7 courts. You have 4 seasonal courts and 3 solar courts. You have the night court, day court, dawn court, summer court, winter court, spring court, and autumn court. And so Feyre is taken by Tamlin, the high fae lord of the spring court, and she is forced to live the rest of her life with him in his manor, just like in Beauty and the Beast. It's a great retelling. But there is a mystery involved, there's a curse, and there is magic involved. It's very good. I love this whole series, but this book was definitely an introduction to the story. It was not the best one of the series by far. Now this is the lowest on my list because I like this series, and this book was enjoyable. I did enjoy reading it, but it's not my favorite of the series. It has some major flaws in the writing and the pacing and just the characters, plot, everything. There's a lot of stuff wrong with this book. Because after I read this book, I was not sure I wanted to continue with the rest of the series, which is why this one has the lowest ranking. It was just not good enough to make my top 2017 list, but it wasn't bad enough to be at the top of my least favorite reads this year. So it's kind of in this in-between. Number 5 on this list is A Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. Now this book is a short little pirate adventure story. It follows a girl named Alosa, who is the daughter of the Pirate King, and she is this sassy, fiery redhead pirate who is trying to find a lost treasure. In order to find it, she has to let herself be captured by enemy pirates because the map of the treasure is on board their ship. And what bothered me about this book was that it just feels very middle grade. It doesn't really feel like young adult. The character of Alosa, everyone's trying to say that she's some badass female Jack Sparrow, kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean meets Merida from Brave, and I just didn't really buy into that. It didn't work for me. Alosa was sassy, yes, and it was funny at times, but she just felt like a caricature. She felt like a one-dimensional character. I don't think she changed throughout the entire story. It really wasn't that interesting. And then the ending was just completely out of nowhere, completely different from the rest of the book. It just didn't even fit with the rest of the book at all, in my opinion. I didn't really like this book. I don't remember the rating I gave it. I think I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads, but if I had to change it, I probably would put it at 2 stars because it just really wasn't that great. It was boring. If you want just a light pirate adventure to read over the summertime, then this could be a good book, but I didn't enjoy it at all. And what makes this book even worse is that the title of the sequel of this book is actually a spoiler set up in this book. There is something about Alosa and her mother in this book, and in the sequel, the title of the book spoils the mystery. So it was like, why? Why would you do that? Number 4 is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco, and this book seems really interesting. I like the idea of Audrey Rose, this forensic scientist in the 1800s. She's kind of like a female Sherlock Holmes, and she's hunting Jack the Ripper, the notorious London murderer. Honestly, I DNF'd this book. I didn't finish it because I just lost interest in it. I can handle a little bit of gore and blood and stuff in books, but this was about like forensics, so it was like morticians and cutting open bodies and doing autopsies and in the 1800s when medicine was like primitive. So it just was just kind of disgusting. I didn't really care for it that much, and it was boring. Like there was no mystery for like half the book, so I just didn't like it at all. I want to pick this book up because I really thought the series was cool and I wanted to read it, so maybe I'll try again to read it sometime, but I just didn't enjoy it, and I didn't even give this a rating because I didn't finish it. Book number 3 is Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. I just really didn't enjoy this one. I read it back in the summertime. I really liked Cinder and I liked the Lunar Chronicles series as a whole, but Scarlet was just boring. It felt like a filler novel for the rest of the series. And each of the Lunar Chronicles is a twist on a Grimm's fairy tale, and this book was supposed to be a fairy tale twist on Red Riding Hood, but it just really wasn't that interesting, and I don't think there's a lot you can do with Red Riding Hood for plot twists. The ending was pretty action-packed, and I liked that. And the other characters are in this book. Like, you get to still interact with Cinder in this book, so I thought that was cool as well because she is one of my favorite characters in the series. But overall, Scarlet was just a boring filler novel, and I gave this maybe 2 or 3 stars on Goodreads. Book number 2 on this list, one of the worst books I read this year, was Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. So, let me get some things out of the way. I have not read her other series yet. I've not read Gritchiverse, and I've not read the Six of Crows duology. I want to read those, okay? So just the fact that I didn't enjoy this book does not mean I've been turned off by her authoring, but this book, oh my goodness. This book is a gigantic hot mess. I feel like this book was solely written to pander to a certain group of people who are reading this book because this book actually has nothing to do with Wonder Woman at all. It's named Wonder Woman Warbringer, and from the cover you would assume that this book is about Wonder Woman on Themyscira with her Amazon sisters, but nope, it has nothing to do with her at all. It is about a girl named Aaliyah who Diana meets, and she rescues her from a shipwreck, and Aaliyah is a Warbringer, which means she's a descendant of Helen of Troy. She's apparently cursed with this ability to make everyone angry and fight with each other. So Diana is trying to help this girl and trying to help her get rid of this curse. So it was all about Aaliyah. It was her story. There were more chapters told from her point of view than Diana's. Diana was just a side character that was also a glorified bodyguard for Aaliyah. She just really didn't have much of a role in this book other than she wanted to prove herself to her Amazon sisters. We never really get to know her Amazon sisters. We don't get to know why they're important. We don't get to know anything really about Diana. It was just all Aaliyah, Aaliyah, Aaliyah. And it made me sad because Wonder Woman is one of my favorite heroes. I loved her in the movie and I like her DC Comics, so I was really disappointed that this book was just absolute shit. I think I maybe gave this book 2 stars on Goodreads. It was going to get 1 star, but I ended up giving it 2 because there was an action sequence at the end with Diana that was awesome because it was most definitely the Wonder Woman that we've seen in the movie and in the comics, and for like one moment I finally felt like I was reading a book about Wonder Woman and I loved it. So for that one action scene alone, I gave it 2 stars, but this book was terrible. Now, book number 1. This was my least favorite book of 2017. I hate this book. I never want to read it again. And that book is Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. I enjoyed Red Queen. I really thought that was a good book. It was interesting. It was a unique twist on the Hunger Games, and it had some fantasy mixed with sci-fi in it. Thought it was really cool. This book was cliche. It was boring. There was nothing that happened in it. They were just traveling all around, and I hate the main character. And she really just didn't interest me at all. I felt no relation to her. I didn't feel bad for her. I just felt like there was nothing going on in this book at all. It was awful. It was 400 pages of nothingness, and it took me 2 weeks to read because I was so bored of it. And let me just say, if I have to read that Mare is the Lightning Girl one more time, I'm going to throw a book somewhere. Everyone called Katniss Everdeen the Girl on Fire, the Mockingjay, whatever, but this girl, Mare, refers to herself as that. She refers to herself as Lightning Girl, and everyone that talks to her, oh, Lightning Girl, Lightning Girl, Lightning Girl. I don't care that she's Lightning Girl. I get it. She has a superpower with controls lightning, but it just doesn't make any sense for everyone to go around giving her that name. She's not a superhero. Like, I'm sorry, this book was so bad, and I think Victoria Aveyard has to be held accountable for some of that, because there is a major character death in here that was not even described. It was written in 1 sentence, and that was it. They never talked about it again. And I think that was just absolutely inexcusable. It was bad writing, and I'm not trying to trash the entire series, but Glass Sword as a book on its own was just absolutely so bad, and I never want to read it again. And I hope that the rest of the series will be better, because I am looking forward to the conclusion of the series. King's Cage and Warstorm I feel like will be much better, but I just really didn't enjoy Glass Sword. So I gave this book 1 star because it just really wasn't worth the read. It was bad. So those were my least favorite books of 2017. I'm glad that I finished them, and I never want to read them again. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a comment down below and tell me if you've read these books. Did you think they were as bad as I did, or did you actually like some of them? Let me know down below in the comments, and don't forget to check out my other video, my top favorite books of 2017. I'll link that in the card up here, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you guys really soon with a new video. Bye!